Okay, so I would like to welcome everyone to our first ever live recording of the Impact of AI Explored. Woo! And we are here at E2E in Barcelona, and we have two fantastic guests. We have Ryan Mangan and Adam Hendricks. Yep. Cool. Guys, how are you doing?
Always good.
Yeah, busy, isn't it? Lots of people.
Yes. Gerjon, how are you doing?
Yeah. Well, the hangover is gone, so I'm waiting for a new one to appear tomorrow morning. But and a little bit positively stressed about getting this podcast done and fixed and working and technically and sound and music and everything. But
yeah, look, we'll give it our best shot.
As long as you make us look pretty.
Yeah, we'll have Insta filters, no worries.
So just to get started, Ryan, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, so hi, my name is Ryan Mangan. I'm Ryan Mangan from a company called Efficient Ether. I was just trying to think how many things I can say without saying too much, but quite heavily in the EUC industry, a lot in AVD and remote desktop service over the years, and obviously now I'm on the path of AI. That's probably the best way to describe it.
I'm Adnan. What about yourself?
IT Pro, next year will be 3 decades, and coming to E2E for many years.
And still looking that young. 3 decades.
Hasn't aged a day.
Yeah. I eat and drink healthy.
As you can see.
As you can do. So just to kind of start with the first topic, I wanted to talk about, obviously we're at an EUC event. So AI and EUC, I want to get an honest assessment from you guys about where we are in terms of that interaction.
And you're looking at Ryan first. Yeah.
Start with you.
Yeah, okay, fine.
I've got a different question for you in a bit as well.
Please don't make it too difficult. So the challenge I see in the industry today, and it's not just EUC, it's broader, but we'll focus on, devices and changes. There's a lot of choice. But with choice becomes more vendors, more complexity, and more you have to do. And then you've also got the broader issues of compliance and government and making sure that you kind of meet requirements of cybersecurity. So it has on the engineers, and it could be the customer, it could be the consultants, it could be value-added research, it could be anybody, it could be software vendors as well, that there's more of a cognitive strain on that individual, that team. That's a fact. You've got to do more. You've got to learn a lot quicker. If you go back to Windows 95, it was like one book. Now we've got like 25, 30 books to kind of go through. I'm under a lot of pressure to kind of do all the training. So for me, I think AI is an amazing tool to help release some of that cognitive stress and pressure to be able to do all the things you need to do within that short period of time. That sums up.
So.
Yeah, and Adnan, have you a view of where we are in terms of AI and EUC?
AI is all about making our lives better. Everybody's life that's a human being, because it's supposed to take away the chore of doing actual work. So we focus on the more important things, and AI can just tidy up and do most of the rest. But we're not quite where I'd like to see AI happening. Right now we have a lot of co-pilots, a lot of generative AI that's really, according to Mr. Mangan here, smart search.
Semantic search.
Semantic search.
Yeah. The word of the weekend is semantic search.
It's a great read, everybody.
But it's all about just, like many kids that can't type, read and write yet, but they can speak. For example, I got one at home, and they just talk to the computer.
And that helps.
And they can get whatever they want.
Yeah.
And that's really the thing about AI. It's just you talk to the computer, and it does what you want it to do.
Yeah, and if you look at it from an EUC perspective, I find that AI is not mature enough to be used everywhere. The co-pilots work, and you have different point solutions, but on some parts there has to be a lot of work done to get completely onto par.
Like human in the loop kind of thing. Right?
That trust issue is still there, so we still have to double check, triple check the results.
Yeah, and that's our own fault.
No, that's the AI's fault.
Oh yeah, sorry, it's AI. No, but it's also our own fault because the data we put in it isn't.
Yeah, it's
Correct.
the way we've trained the model.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it is our fault.
Yeah, we make our own crap.
Yeah.
But, you know, the thing though is like they only really started. The researchers started to put a lot of effort in 2014 on this. So they were trying to kind of get it to handle, you know, language. So from 14 till now, 10 years, let's say, it's come an incredible way. And in 2 years, you know, when they announced GPT, and it was a little bit of a gimmick at first, let's be honest about it. But now, with the voice, like we were saying earlier on, things have moved on in 2 years dramatically, right?
Yeah, and I think the AI development cycle will go even steeper and steeper and
definitely.
steeper. So today's AI is the worst AI that you can use. That's a phrase we've heard a lot.
Yeah,
But I completely with you on that because it's getting incredibly fast. We did a presentation for the viewers at home. We did a presentation yesterday, and James pulled out a Twitter. I'll put it in the show notes. A Twitter feed from someone. He said, "This is what has been released today," and there were 6 or 7 big releases. So every day, something new is coming. Something better is coming.
Yeah.
Visual creator.
Yeah.
Built into Copilots.
Yeah, and Microsoft releasing the Wave 2 of Copilots, and they get a lot better, and every new release is going to get a lot better. So it's increasing. So the speed of development is great, but at the moment, if you look at today, it's working okay-ish.
Well, for us, because we are demanding.
Yeah, that's true.
Part of the spectrum.
I mean, the adoption has been pretty high. So there was Gartner did like a flash survey in 2023, and they asked 150 leaders, you know, what AI are you going to use? And 89% roughly, don't quote me on the numbers, were saying Copilot. You know, but then recently, Microsoft publicly announced it in some of their marketing that they were taking on 60,000 user Copilot deals. Businesses are investing in it, and they're saying they're saving 30, 40, you know, minutes a day in effort. So there is a use, but obviously this dream where we all can stay at home and drink beer every day, which I was like, yay, isn't there yet, right?
No, it might be in the cards sometime.
Yeah. Okay. So just to move on a bit, Ryan, obviously you've just built your own AI platform.
By accident.
Okay. But maybe just give us a bit of background to that and why you decided to go down that route and what was the whole build process like?
Yeah, so I was building a cloud cost optimization platform that connects into all modern cloud because there's a big gap in understanding the costs and how you can save money. It's a big thing. There's a lot of products and companies out there who target mainly enterprise. So I was trying to make this a commodity type of tool where everybody can use. But then to kind of train someone on every single component of Azure is a massive stretch. It's very difficult. So we started to build a semantic search copilot type of product just for optimization. And the results were that good. What we were seeing, we then started to add more layers to it. And after talking to the business internally about, look what this is doing, what we could do with it, it was almost like not really my choice alone to say, we've got to make this into a product. And then we released the first version in January 24, and it's now November. And we're on version 30 release. And as you've probably seen as well, James, like the transition from January to now, we've got something which is completely caught off guard, the compliance and all the things. But the process of it, we didn't just take a model and train it. Building a model and train it costs a lot of money. So we wanted to kind of target towards authoritative source information, something which is correct, something which we can use, and then basically provide answers on that data. So like a log file or, you know, a document of some sort. And by doing it that way, we achieved much higher results. And on the testing we were doing, you know, it wasn't about, it was the right answer, but the biggest problem we had at the time was similarity. We were getting a different answer each time. And the problem with a different answer each time is, will you trust it?
Yeah.
So if you get the same answer each time, I would probably go, yeah, okay. But if you were getting a different, and the style and all these kind of different, you know, anomalies in that text was a little bit concerning at first. But, you know, the effort of testing, the unit testing, regression testing, you know, similarity testing they've had to do, it's not a small feat. I'll be honest, it's probably the most complex process you've got to go through to try and achieve that level of accuracy.
Yeah,
That's just an insight, but yeah.
Yeah, and it's very time consuming and very capital.
Yeah, it can be quite expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, because if you were to go and buy a lot of servers and then build your own models and do training and testing, if you look at Elon Musk, he's racked up all them data centers and kit. That's not a small buck, is it really?
No.
Yeah, and then if you look at the costs on all of the cloud platforms to do it and ingesting the questions, at least 1,000 questions and answers, the kind of just doing fine tuning will cost you a couple of thousand at least. So it's not a cheap job. And all these people we're talking about earlier about the voice. The voice is great, fantastic, but today it's too expensive. Will people pay £70-80 a month just to have a voice feature on top of what they're already paying with subscriptions? There's all these different subscriptions out there. Your Sky, your phone, all of these things. You're really going to pay another £60 a month on top? I don't think we want to. It needs to become down more commodity type of, or built into something you're already paying for.
Yeah, or it should be more commodity and the pricing should go down.
Yeah,
just like with cloud.
Yeah, exactly.
It probably will.
Yeah.
It's still new. I mean, if you look at when was GPT released and how fast the adoption went.
It's 22, yeah.
I mean, most of the business users, not as critical like us, are using it.
Yeah.
Productivity is better. Analyzing of data.
Yeah, and it's what you say, because that's a little bit of a segue also into our next question, because at a lot of companies, they don't have any AI policies yet, but people are using it already. And most of them are using it, ChatGPT, because they know that one.
That's the scary part.
Yeah, that's the scary part. So if you're listening at home or watching this, if you have an Office 365 subscription, the Copilot in Edge is free. And if you log on, the data is at least secured in your own tenant. So that's the first free tip of this evening. Yeah. But do you see in your line of work, because you're a Microsoft dude and you work at a lot of companies that use Microsoft, do you see these adoption growing to the Microsoft stack?
It is growing. If we look at the market, pretty much everybody uses Windows, uses Microsoft Office, M365. And with the built-in Copilot, the adoption is just, it's like turning open the tap and it's just running out. And the main thing is there's so many companies that are already seeing the productivity increase in utilizing the Copilots within their own tenants with their own security profiles and security on their data. Their productivity is just increased, their teamwork, and making all these little improvements in the company. Analyzing their data and getting better results. So that's the answer.
Yeah. So the adoption of AI is rapidly growing.
Yeah.
And if you look at the companies where you do these kinds of things, do you see a lot of adoption work done? You see a lot of.
Well, the adoption is really just a project that takes place way before the first implementation. So it starts off small. Security is very tight. All the data first needs to be objectified and labeled, and you have to make sure that all the role-based access control is put in place, because the Copilot really acts in the user's identity. So wherever that user has access, and the main thing is you don't want to have somebody in the company giving Copilot access to the tenant data and somebody else has access to the same data. So you've got to make sure that trajectory has gone through a thorough testing process before you can open it up company-wide.
Yeah, so the data security is one of the first things that needs to happen in the company's journey to implementing it broad scale.
Yeah, and another tip, since we added tips.
Yeah, tips
just recently something was switched on within Microsoft tenants where just about every user can access and open up a Copilot trial. So
for Copilot Studio.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and that's you build your own Copilot stuff.
Yeah. So just turn that off if that's not your intent.
Yeah, because the side note and the issue can be you have the same issue with the Power Platform. If you leave that on, everybody can build a Power App, and if they're not working, they're going to call you because you're IT. Same goes for Copilot. They can click around.
Teams as well, yeah.
Yeah, so they can do anything. They can import any app, and if it's not working, they're going to call you.
It's a form of shadow IT, so you just have to be sharp.
Shadow IT inside your own AI.
Another buzzword for today.
Yeah, for the buzzword bingo, we got 2 already. Yeah, so okay, but and if you look at the but if you look at the companies where you're going, where you're and we do the same line of work, I find sometimes even more adoption or feasibility for a proof of value with a Copilot Studio implementation than a normal Copilot that lives in Word and Excel, but a Copilot that you can build using a little snippet of data and then have a business effect with that. Just one process, one simple process, a little bit of data, query it in an HR app or a help desk app or chat.
Remember, companies have been sort of technically using this technology before, just as chatbots and helping call centers, those sort of things with the bots. But now it's just developed a bit further with access to Copilot, generative AI. So
yeah, and the quality has improved immensely because of that.
Yeah.
I mean, the term is narrow AI, and Siri and Alexa are really good examples of that. So we are just seeing the next kind of iteration of that now, and obviously it's only going to get more interesting. The one thing I will say is, anybody can turn on Copilot, but if you haven't set up the PureView kind of settings, that's the compliance off the table. So it's almost like saying, "Oh, we're gonna roll out Copilot," which is a great idea. But if you don't turn on the other side of it, which you need to have the skills to do, which you've got all them skills, right? It's a challenge because you're going to let people use all this without any control over that data.
Yeah.
What about, can it access all the HR data and anybody
Exactly.
can view it? What does that mean to the business, right? And it's
someone goes in and checks what's the CEO's salary.
Yeah, and why has he got such a big bonus? And
Yeah, exactly.
Or the company intellectual property. All those designs.
Yeah, and that is the biggest, problem.
Yeah, you can start a treasure hunt with Copilot.
Yeah, you can imagine. So we shouldn't be giving people ideas anyway.
That's not a free tip.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Yeah,
Kids, don't do that at home.
Just cut that one out.
Yeah. We'll edit that one out.
So obviously there's a considerable cost associated with AI, and we've talked about where we're at the moment, and as we get further along, costs should reduce as we get wider adoption.
Yeah, and I think this is an interesting one. So yeah, there's these, we call them closed premium models out there. But if you're using Azure AI, you can now look at, I call it the shopping list, like the model catalog, and you can see all these different models. And Microsoft has bought, was it PH3.5? So you can use these more
and Claude
affordable.
Is now available on.
Yeah,
Azure
exactly.
as well.
So you can do that, and if you're using laptops just to play with it initially, you can use like Llama and things like that just to kind of get on with the basics. But I suppose again it goes back to choice and also what level of performance you want. But a lot of people using Sonnet and the PH3.5, and they were running similar results in certain tasks for that. And this catalog, in just using Azure as a point to pick on, there's obviously AWS as well and others. But you can actually choose the particular models you want for the particular tasks you want to achieve. So sometimes if you're doing, I don't know, some kind of mathematical calculations or indexing or something like that, you would choose a model more suited for that, which would be a lot more affordable. So what I'm trying to kind of get to is that when you're building AI solutions in the future, it's not going to be one model. There's going to be models for different purposes, but also you have a choice. You don't have to pay for these really premium models. You could actually achieve the same objective with something that's a little bit more open. And in my view, with everything that's going on and all this money being raised, it's going to be paid back at some point. So some of these big closed models could be a financial risk from a failure if the business doesn't achieve its objectives later down the line, which I think is a fair assessment.
Yeah.
From risk.
Yeah, and one of the things that we found when we talk to customers about implementing Copilot, they say, okay, we can save a half an hour work a week. What are we going to do with that half an hour? How can we measure that AI is saving us money? And that's a bit of a tricky one, because what KPIs can you put on the reduction in time that AI?
Yeah, I mean, how do you actually measure that time reduction? to be honest. For example, yeah, it depends in different line of works, because consultancy, you pay for a service and pay for a fee. So if they deliver that service quicker, but you've entered into an agreement, this is my opinion, obviously, it doesn't change, that skill and that ability to deliver that service. So that doesn't really change anything. But what it does do for the service is it allows the people to access more information, more complex challenges, and fix them quicker. So that if you have booked this service, that it will be delivered on time when the customer asks for it. So they're going to get more of a guaranteed delivery point than they would do previous to AI. Is one angle of it. The second thing as well is, I don't think it's 30 minutes. I think depending on what you're doing is the first question. And then the second one is, for like creating policies, writing support emails to like 5 different languages across the world, because you're running a multi-million-pound business, which has got different offices in every country in the world. You're able to communicate clearer and deliver things much quicker to a wider set of people. There's so much. I mean, how do you measure that, right?
Yeah.
What can you use to measure it? It's not easy.
No.
Well, in my line of work, if you look at traditional companies that are using just Microsoft 365 Copilot, where they evaluate how long it maybe took them to run a report on a set of data. So the time scale to bring the results, might be faster, because Copilot does most of the work. And on the technical side, on the admin side, with Security Copilot, analyzing a lot of security incidents, utilizing that, it's a lot faster than the traditional way.
Yeah, true. But if advocate of the devil being that a little bit, is that you see that companies saying, okay, well, I need an AI for this, I can use an AI for that, I can use an AI for that, I can use an AI for that. Okay, $30 consumption-based Azure AI services costs me somewhere between $500 and $5,000. I don't know. So the business case is getting a little bit wobbly, because okay, I'm saving a little bit of time here. But in the end, the costs of all these subscriptions for all these AI services.
But if the team can deliver 3 times that amount of work, or deliver it all on time with no slippage by using AI, does that add value to the business?
Yeah,
and that is the question I'd ask them.
Yeah, and that's the question below the surface, because they're mostly looking at production improvement, but it can also be delivering more value and delivering it on time.
Yeah, and it's important to probably call this out. But if you think that you can automate your business and remove staff by using a bit of AI, you're a bit deluded in this stage. It's not. Oh, I can pay $30 and get rid of the IT team. Yeah, it's not really going to go down very well, is it?
No, and there are examples for the British DPD. They used AI and an AI bot and removed some people from their service desk. But a lot of people didn't find their package. But the AI bot became very good at making poems. So bad implementations or exactly over expectation about what it can do.
Let's hope the poem wasn't about packages.
No, but the over expectation about what it can solve is also a problem.
Well, right now, right? Because we talk about AI, the quality that we're getting right now. In the future, that probably will change.
Yeah.
And I personally am concerned about many of those normal workers where AI will do a better job.
Yeah, but that's called re-rolling. So if you have changes in an organization, or you bring new systems in, and I've run a successful services company for 12 years, and you just re-roll people into new or different directions the business wants to go. So let's say the market changes for load balancing, but then you have more of a security play. You can realign them resources, because that's effectively what it is, into that new position. So it doesn't mean you've got AI and it's going to remove the workforce. I just see that you can actually do more with the same people.
Yeah.
And I said it earlier on about cognitive, stress and pressure on that individual.
Yeah.
It makes life a bit easier for them as well, because it is a very stressful industry. Let's be honest, especially consulting.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the hair; it's all
right now. But in the enterprise, I tend to disagree. I mean, you just have to look at the fast food chains out there with all the kiosks, so they have less people working as a cashier, taking your order.
I think that's brilliant.
Yeah, it's brilliant. But still, You know,
I know, but is that not just progression in society? It's always been the case. We replaced, we used to have horse-drawn carriages, then we have cars, and it's just taking it. AI just accelerates that beyond.
I mean, if I could put a kiosk into my front reception of the offices and someone can come in and order the service and it's done automatically, I'd be impressed. It depends. You're right. There is like people and roles and services. It depends on the kind of industry. But again, that industry should find other ways to kind of move people into new roles. They was talking about AGI. Once we achieve AGI, everybody will achieve worldwide an amount of money. It sounds something like Minority Report or Fifth Element kind of sketch.
Elon gets his robots working.
Or you can go to Mars for free or whatever. But
Elon can go to Mars and just don't send the rocket pack. Leave it there.
That's your comment, not mine. But
I stand by that.
As far as I'm concerned, everybody's capable of doing many things. But one of the big points I get from AI is you ask everybody's used ChatGPT. You're writing a script or something and you've got an error and you say, what's this error? And it tells you the answer. That itself is a form of learning.
Yeah.
You'll remember it for next time. So there's always continual improvement. So, human intelligence is going to actually increase as well over time with this. It might make us lazy and lose certain skills in some areas, but, the brain's quite a powerful thing. You'll be able to absorb a lot more information and do a lot more with it.
Look at everybody's got a mobile phone. Nobody remembers telephone numbers.
Yeah, there's a guy called Chris over there on one.
No, but that's true. We change, and I had a discussion with a colleague of mine saying AI is going to make us dumb. And
smart AI dumb people.
Yeah, and yesterday during our session we also had that comment in the crowd, and they said, "Well, it's what you said. It's okay. We're going to lose some skills. We're going to lose some things, but maybe that's not inherently bad.
Always, no.
And we can use our big brain to do even more complex stuff."
I mean, look, AI will never replace a stonemason or someone who can put a thatch roof on a cottage. Never going to be able to do that. You can't get a robot to do that. That is an artisan skill. So there's always going to be them elements of, human requirement, and then there's going to be elements where AI can make things more efficient. It's just the way things are going, right?
Yeah.
I mean, look at self-driving cars. Who thought they'd actually kind of start actually coming out? I mean, we had this conversation many moons ago. I would not get in one.
Oh, Knight Rider was the first one.
And we all thought we'd have flying cars by now.
And lightsabers as well.
Yeah, and lightsabers. Yeah, that was the other one.
Hoverboards.
Yeah.
Yeah. If we look at Back to the Future. So we asked this question yesterday, so I have to ask the two of you, is this the year of AI?
I feel like I did say this yesterday. I feel like we need to stop using "is this the year of?" It needs to be something different because it's almost like replicating someone else.
VDI.
I'm still disappointed about that one. I've heard it's the year of MSIX as well.
Yeah. Sorry, so this year is already taken.
Yeah, well, I think at the AVD Tech Fest there was the year of Brian Madden said the year of AVD or VDI, and then Tim Mangan said no relation by the way said year of MSIX. So we've had two. I don't think we need three.
No. So if you look at the big picture, we did a little bit of research. Some of the companies say 2023 was the year because of the AI hype stuff really took off in 2023, and our opinion is the coming years are going to be awesome. And
so this is an interesting one. So Apple proved that reasoning doesn't exist; it's pattern matching still. So we're still not even anywhere near reasoning, and obviously certain people will look at reasoning as a way to kind of try and progress the thought process of AI.
Yeah.
But we're not there yet.
Well, that's what AGI essentially is.
Yeah. But I mean, I've got some crazy data on it where they asked 1,500 experts when they think AGI happened, and they kind of said around from 2050 to 2075. But then you look at other data, people are saying it's not going to be into the, the 150s and so on and so forth. So I think it's probably too early to kind of make that judgment. We have to see how it goes in the next year or so and then come back around the table.
Well, there were that rumors with Google, Google's AI, when they said some engineer said that it achieved general AI.
Yeah.
Who knows? Some hobby blog somewhere in the
or
garage.
someone with a microphone behind the screen.
But then you've got quantum computing, which is coming out. So then you combine the two together. What does that happen? So there's all of these other variables which are slipping into the kind of fabric framework of what we're talking about here. So we could, with all of the supercomputer capabilities, potentially do that. But today we've got very complex pattern matching systems.
I think it's definitely the year of the co-pilots.
Yeah.
Especially if you look at the improvements now with agents that can action
The
on
year
the
of Clippy.
results.
Yeah, the year of the new Clippy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you look at how Microsoft is positioning it and how they are all in on this AI stuff, the marketing machine of Microsoft is immense. So, I can agree that
Wonderful company. Certainly kept me
you keep us occupied
with work since 95.
Yeah, and most of the people in the room have worked because of Microsoft and related technology. So that's true. They keep
us off the street.
I've got no complaints.
No.
Okay, so we've decided it's not yet.
Not yet. This is not the year.
We're on the fence.
We're on the fence. We're on the fence, and we think that AI agents is kind of where it's going to the next level for progression. We've kind of had where you can type. We've got now multimodal AI agents where you can actually, go off and do things. But then this is where it gets
Bring
interesting.
It together.
Yes,
Yeah.
but this is where it gets interesting.
But like the new functionality where you can tell Copilot, I've got this picture. Tell me what I can best.
Copilot Vision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What colors can I paint the walls? What goes with this piece of furniture?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
So what's the best use of space?
Yeah.
If we look at interior design and design in general.
Surveying things, yeah.
Yeah, so it's we said that many times on the podcast, but it's a great time to be alive and to be witness about what's happening. It's really crazy, but cool.
There's more to come.
Always.
Yeah. Stay tuned on this channel.
I think as well, there's this big push, isn't there, for like AI chips in phones, into devices, and obviously the APIs are going to be exposed at some point. So I think that's going to open a whole bigger can of worms, because you'll be able to do much more locally.
Yeah.
So all of the your apps on your phone might be able to call the AI. I mean, we had this conversation, so they can't yet, but I think that's what's going to start building things out. So we're going to see this. But I'll do you know, like there's 16 million apps and 35 million variations of each kind of app or whatever it is out in the mag. So there's billions of applications. The problem we have is like all of these agents and all these co-pilots and all these things, there's going to be a co-pilot to kind of pick the best polish for your shoes. It's going to be ridiculous unless someone gets, there's going to be, what's the phrase?
Sprawl?
Yeah, there's going to be this massive sprawl of co-pilot, and it's going to be another problem for everybody to fix later down the line. Yeah. Because this is what we do. We come up with this new technology, remember when we started, in Windows 3.1, and the next minute we've got apps which are 20, 30 years old, and there's lots of them. It's the same sort of thing.
And they are still business critical.
Yes, and this is where we're going to have to kind of, organizations and responsible vendors will need to think about how can they deal with that later down the line.
Yeah, and that's a funny one, because all these AI stuff that they're bringing in, it's gonna and make it more dependent, and then they need to maintain it.
Yeah,
it's going to be more complex. So before we end the conversation, I was wondering if there is anyone in the room that wants to has a question, wants to remark, wants the expert's opinion on anything.
Or maybe what they think of AI.
Yeah, that's also a good one.
What about the environmental impact or the lack of power?
Yeah,
nice and great.
That's a great question.
That's a really
the question the question in the room was, what about the environmental impact of AI?
And someone said this to me yesterday. We talked about AGI. Would AGI actually go, well, I'm the problem?
Yeah. If you ask AGI, okay, how can we stop the environmental issues?
Save the world. How can we save the world?
Turn me off.
Turn all the data centers off.
So it's probably one of the best questions you could ask on the topic, because it is probably the biggest. So if everybody's seen the news, there's these things about nuclear power. It's been talking about,
they're bringing it back.
Bringing back nuclear power stations for this sort of stuff. But then also there's the shipping of AI chips in devices locally to offload to the device. We've obviously, what I started doing before we kind of got drawn into the AI space, we were doing about carbon emissions and cloud cost optimization. And I was able to assess all of the data centers, roughly the kind of fuel mix and the carbon emissions for each one, and was able to see the best place to locate. So if I was to run AI in Canada on the west coast of America, they're pretty much net zero mostly. So running AI there would be, net zero. But running it in the United Kingdom, we'll see how that goes in the next year or so. There's an emissions cost to that, which is polluting the environment. And the same with, in Europe, Switzerland's another good one, from an emissions standpoint, quite low. So it's not just about AI, it's also about placement, right? Yeah. And that's pretty much where I was looking at AI originally, was about, where do you place your resources to have the lowest impact on the environment? But look, the guys are working on it. They're trying to offload to devices locally and send that back. So that could be a massive benefit as well. But then obviously someone's going to say, like Ben Ward would, what about the manufacturing of these?
Exactly. Yeah. Well, it's the whole train from training to delivering to making chips, putting them in, and shipping into data centers. Because we in the Amsterdam we have the issue that the Azure data center can grow because there are at capacity for their
same in
limits,
Ireland.
Yeah. We country where we live is at capacity with electricity supply.
Yeah, we have a limit on the amount of electricity we can generate, and we've stopped all the major hyperscalers building new data centers in Ireland at the moment, and everyone keeps on, we're losing so much money for the economy, but you have to weigh it up on the environmental impact, and our grid just can't take it at the moment. So unless the hyperscalers find a way to start generating their own power away from the grid, which I think should be an aspect of the planning application, they go, well, we're going to build such and such. We don't have nuclear in Ireland. We never have. It's a really interesting debate. So, so I think that is a huge issue when it comes to this stuff. And I've been asked several times, like, when I'm using, my wife even asked me, it's like, what's the impact of when you're doing these searches on ChatGPT? And it's like,
it doesn't help.
Yeah, it doesn't help. Yeah. Have we any other questions before we wrap up?
No, if there are no more questions, thanks for the good question.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Do you drive an electric car?
No.
He doesn't drive an electric car.
That's a good answer.
No, so with that said, thanks for our two guests. Thanks for our audience for being here. Thanks everyone for watching. We hope to see you again next month. We hope we can give you the last free tip. Two free tips. One free tip is go visit E2E. It's an awesome conference. You can learn a lot. The second tip is the thing that you built.
etherassist.ai. Thanks for the plug.
You can have a free trial for 2 weeks. So if you go to etherassist.ai, you can have a free trial for 2 weeks. And the bot can do everything, can learn you a lot about IT and help you solve your IT problems. It's trained on all of the stuff on AI, AVD.
EUC, right?
EUC stuff.
EUC stuff. Yeah. Excellent. Well, I want to thank Ryan and Adnan and everyone here in the room. So this has been the impact of AI Explored. So thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.